Chapter 168, Nine Folds of Elephant Power. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. Half-Saint Sleight was indeed the soul of a half-saint. When the half-saint was still alive, he could control the divine soul through his body. After he died, he could then utilize the blood of the half-saint and retrieve the half-saint's light. In fact, even if Zhang Yuochen obtained the blood of the Golden Cloud half-saint, it was not an easy task to reclaim the half-saint's light inside of Lu Han's body. He would need to apply secret spell. In general, only warriors of the Heaven Realm could assemble the half-saint's light with the help of the half-saint's blood. The reason behind that was that it would need to employ the power of the martial soul during the process of displaying the secret spell. Only warriors whose martial cultivation had reached the Heaven Realm would be able to practice the martial soul. Since Zhang Yuochen had opened up the vessel of spirit, he could perform the power of the martial soul by communicating with it. Therefore, he could also function the secret spell. Zhang Yuochen placed the spiritual crystal with fire nature on the ice surface. He injected genuine qi into the spiritual crystal, which started burning right away and evolved into a massive fireball. Under the high temperature of the blazing fire, the ice melted unceasingly. 2 hours had passed. Merely a thin layer of ice crystals left on the bones of the elderly man. Zhang Yuochen retrieved the spiritual crystal and released a palm toward the bones. The surface of the ice crystals had cracked out tiny fine lines. Boom! The ice crystals were shattered. A substantial saint power descended from the body of the elderly man. It hurled Zhang Yuochen out that he fell 30 meters away. Such dense spiritual blood spewed out from the elderly man's body and it formed a blood cloud. Every wisp of spiritual blood looked like a scaly snake sliding in the air as it let out a deafening sound. The blood meridian of the half-saint was extremely forceful, as if the saint power had melted into the blood. Even though 500 years had passed, none of its activity had been lost. That is undoubtedly the skeleton of Golden Cloud half-saint. Zhang Yuochen stared at the spiritual blood flowing in the air, and he could finally figure out that the identity of the skeleton was half-saint of the human clan who had died 500 years ago. He took out a jade bottle and placed it on the ground. At the same time, he released the space domain, which covered an 80-meter space around him. It completely engulfed all the spiritual blood and condensed into drops of blood. A wisp of spiritual blood condensed into 1 drop of the half-saint's blood. Zhang Yuochen spent exactly 3 days in order to compress every drop of spiritual blood. In the end, he compressed the spiritual blood into 64 drops of half-saint's blood, which he stored inside the jade bottle. The value of 1 drop of half-saint's blood was 10 times greater than 1 drop of half-saint's essence. Undoubtedly, having 64 drops of half-saint's blood was regarded as a massive fortune. If other people rumbled that Zhang Yuochen owned such large amounts of half-saint's blood, it was definitely going to get him killed. Even the warriors of the Heaven Realm would make every effort to kill him. 500 years have passed. Most of the blood inside Golden Cloud half-saint's body has already decayed, leaving only 64 drops of blood with strong activity. I guess if I didn't compress the last 64 drops, it would all be decayed in 10 more years. After gathering the half-saint's blood, Zhang Yuochen saluted out of courtesy toward the skeleton of Golden Cloud half-saint in the giant pit. Then, Zhang Yuochen buried the skeleton of Golden Cloud half-saint and made a gravestone out of the massive stones. He carved the grave of Golden Cloud half-saint. He did not plan to leave now and decided to stay at the bottom of Haunted Mist Mountain. He thought that it might be a good idea to leave after elevating his martial cultivation to the completion of the Black Realm. Zhang Yuochen had eaten 8 3-leaf holy clover plants and 5 kilograms of spiritual brawn before falling down through the hole, so he had only refined 1/5 of the saint power and spiritual power. In order to break through to the completion of the Black Realm, he would need to fully refine the remaining saint power and spiritual power and assimilate them into his body to empower his physical strength. Dragon and Elephant Prajnapam was being practiced. When I'm practicing Dragon and Elephant Prajnapam, I have to mobilize the power of every inch of my muscles and bones. My body will only absorb the saint power and spiritual power at its fastest speed under constant vigorous exercise. Zhang Yuochen had already practiced the first 4 palms of the Dragon and Elephant Prajnapam to the realm of the succeed. He could start practicing the 5th palm, 9 folds of elephant power. 9 folds of elephant power was even more powerful and incredible compared to the first 4 palms. If Zhang Yuochen stroked out a palm with full power now, it was equal to the full power of an ordinary warrior at the mid-stage of the Earth realm. If he practiced 9 folds of elephant power to the succeed and released 9 palms in a row, he could accumulate the power of 9 palms and explode an attacking power that was 9 times stronger. When Zhang Yuochen practiced this palm technique to the succeed, dragon and elephant prajna palm would be advanced to the martial technique at the mid-class of the spiritual stage. Moreover, the power this palm technique erupted was classified as a martial technique of the superior class of the spiritual stage. Indeed, it was so difficult to practice 9 folds of elephant power that it required days of continuous practice. Standing in the pitch-black underground, the genuine qi in Zhang Yuochen's body was running rapidly, forcing the power of each of his meridians and blood meridian, every inch of muscle, and every piece of bone to all surge toward his arms. The power of his entire body gathered at his arms, which were completely covered by the genuine qi and had been turned white. 9 folds of elephant power. Zhang Yuochen stroked out 9 consecutive palms and maintained his arms on the same horizontal line. The 9 palms were combined into one strand, struck out at the same time, and hit the thick stone wall. Bang, bang. The sound of 9 palms smacking arose and left a 9-inch deep palm impression in the stone wall. The power of the 9 palms was totally separated so that none of them overlaid one another and, therefore, 9 sounds of loud smashing were sent out. If they had overlapped each other, only one striking smash would have broken out. It's going to be very hard if I want to overlap the power of the 9 palms together and combine them into one. No, I can't do it. If I keep practicing under this condition, I'll never practice 9 folds of elephant power. Let's try to combine the first 2 palms together. Zhang Yuochen once again activated his genuine qi and struck 2 palms out in a row at his fastest speed. Bang, bang. The sound of 2 palms resounded and left a 2-inch deep pit in the stone wall. Although the prints of both palms were scattered, the streaking time between the 2 palms' prints was extremely subtle. Without listening carefully, it sounded like it was combined. Zhang Yuochen continued practicing. He knew that he had found the correct way to practice the technique. If he kept up the good work, he would successfully practice 9 folds of elephant power. On the first day, Zhang Yuochen struck out 2,000 palm prints, while the genuine qi in his body had been consumed 6 times. Every time his genuine qi was consumed, he entered the internal space of the time and space spinal straight away in order to recover his genuine qi in the shortest period of time, and then he continued practicing. On the second day, he struck out 3,000 palm prints and his genuine qi had also been consumed 6 times. On the third day, 4,000 palm prints were struck out. Once again, 6 times his genuine qi had been consumed. The capacity of genuine qi in Zhang Yuochen's qi lake remained the same. Yet, the genuine qi in his body became more concise, purer, and denser. Therefore, he was able to strike out more and more palm prints with the same consumption of genuine qi. Every time that he finished practicing, his body was in such great pain that he felt like it was tearing apart, whereas his arms felt like they were broken off. After refining the pure genuine qi, his pain completely vanished overnight. Once again, he returned to his best condition both mentally and physically. According to Zhang Yuochen's observations, it seemed that it was the obscure saint power and spiritual power inside his body that facilitated him to recover from the wounds and injuries. Together with the efficacy of the pure genuine qi, his body genuinely returned to its peak state. The next day, Zhang Yuochen had been practicing 7 days in a row without any rest and struck out 100,000 palm prints in total. Finally, he made it to the beginner level of 9 folds of elephant power. 9 folds of elephant power. Standing 10 meters away from the stone wall, Zhang Yuochen struck out 2 palms as fast as lightning. The 2 palm prints overlapped together and smashed on the stone wall at exactly the same time. A deafening sound broke out and there was a 9-inch deep palm pit smacked in the stone. Be mindful that the power of a single one of his palms alone left a 1-inch deep pit in the stone wall. He had to release 9 palms in a row so as to leave a 9-inch deep palm pit. As of now, Zhang Yuochen had just practiced 9 folds of elephant power to the beginner level. Yet, he was able to double up the power of 2 palms and produced a 9-inch palm pit in the stone wall. The power of this 1 palm was as strong as the power of 9 palms. Erupting out twice as much power is the beginner level, while erupting out 3 times as much reaches the small success. If Zhang Yuochen wanted to explode out 3 times as much power, he had to overlap the 3 palms together. By striking 100,000 palm prints, I reached the beginner level. I guess if I strike out palm prints 1,000,000 times, I'll reach the small success very soon. After 7 days of intense practice, Zhang Yuochen had fully stimulated the obscure saint power and spiritual power inside his body. He had only absorbed a quarter of it, and the power of his body had greatly increased. If he continued to practice the palm technique, he was confident that he would completely absorb the remaining saint power and spiritual power. When Zhang Yuochen had practiced 9 folds of elephant power and reached the beginner level, he entered the time and space spinal and started practicing. Inside the internal space of the time and space spinal, Zhang Yuochen struck at least 15,000 palms prints every day. After 3 months of practice, he had stroked out 1,700,000 palm prints and elevated 9 folds of elephant power to the small success. The hidden saint power and spiritual power in his body had been fully absorbed into his blood and transformed into his own power. At the same time, the purity and concision of the pure jade genuine chi within his body had doubled up. Currently, Zhang Yuochen was able to, at most, strike out 20,000 palm prints each day. 9 folds of elephant power. Zhang Yuochen stood 10 meters away from the stone wall as usual, with his arms straightened. He released 3 palm prints consecutively. The 3 palms overlapped as expected and erupted 3 times as much of power. Boom! The stone wall slightly trembled. A 27-inch deep palm pit, which was 3 times larger than Zhang Yuochen's palm, appeared on the wall. Is my palm 3 times more powerful? I'm afraid I can seriously harm the warriors at the mid-stage of the Earth realm with this palm. He was relatively joyful and satisfied with his results after months of practice. Although Zhang Yuochen had already practiced in the time and space spinal for 3 months, it was only a month in the real world. The intermediate relic exploration test took place in 3 months and only a month and 10 days had passed. Zhang Yuochen still had plenty of time to break through to the completion of the Black Realm. I'd better start breaking through to the completion of the Black Realm. Then, he entered the internal space of the time and space spinal, sat cross-legged, and took out the jade bottle where he stored the half-saint's blood and lifted it in his hand. I think I only need to refine 1 more drop of half-saint's blood to break through to the completion of the Black Realm. He opened the jade bottle as his palm waved. A red half-saint's blood flowed out from the bottle, glittering a glowing red light as if a tiny red sun was floating on his palm.